Hey, we're live.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Let's start with presentation.
We playing some music, or should we just sing?
Yeah, there's some music in the background.
Oh.
For those who've joined us in good time, welcome to our webinar with Arthur Carmazzi, Why the COVID-19 Crisis is Ideal to Improve Your Organization Culture. We're just going to allow more of our participants to come online, so thank you for your patience. We'll be starting in the next 5 minutes. Thank you. Never used it. Good afternoon, Govinda, Aditya, Sujit, Aman, Priscilla, Anurag, Purvi, Mustafa, Mamta, Smita, Krishadita, Ajay, Deepak, Jigar, Ritesh, Devdas. Very good afternoon to each of you. Just going to wait 1 more minute and we'll start shortly. Good afternoon, Indranil, Joydeep, Artha, Krishna, Chandradesh. Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to each and every one of you here with us today. On behalf of Right Selection, myself and Arthur, it's a really great pleasure to be with you. To just give you a brief about our organization, Right Selection, we're a father and son family business, been in the business of transforming lives and transforming companies for over 25 years. Obviously, in recent weeks, in the last 6 weeks, we've moved our business online to providing world-class webinars to provide knowledge from global thought leaders to educate, engage, and inspire each one of you. And it's a pleasure to connect with you through the webinar series and on LinkedIn for those who've connected with me on LinkedIn. The format for today is that we will have Arthur share his insights and his experience as a global thought leader. And we will pause every now and then for some questions. We will also have some polls that we will ask, which will be great for both Arthur and myself, and even for yourselves to understand, the sort of feedback that we have from the participants that are with us today. In fact, let me start with one poll to get a sense of where everyone is today. So the first poll that I'm publishing is, what types of stress do you feel that your people have now? You can choose what applies to you most, from uncertainty, restlessness, frustration, boredom, fear, and lack of clarity. I appreciate many of us would be feeling a lot of these, but if there's one specific one that really highlights, please let us know. I know it's a new space for a lot of us to be working from home, having our teams distant and working virtually. But if you could just share your answer to this, that would be great. I see there's two primary ones, which I'm about to share the poll results. The primary one, which is over 50%, is uncertainty. And the second one is lack of clarity. I believe each of you can see the results in front of you on your screens. So that reinstates, it's the uncertainty of the future because we're in a new world and a new space, and the lack of clarity. Thank you for that. We will have more polls during the session. I'm going to also just share with you these webinars. Whilst we're happy to provide them as complimentary, we are supporting a charity by the name of Building Blocks. I will share a short video later on in the session, but it's our golden opportunity to give back to those in need, because there are many people out there, children and families in the slums, and we're providing them food through the money that we raise through these webinars. So your support in helping us support these children and families was highly appreciated. Coming to our speaker for today, Arthur Carmazzi. I've known him for over 10 years. He's a dear friend. He's traveled globally to all the continents numerous times, worked with business owners and large corporates, including companies here in India, where we have most of our participants here. He's been ranked the #4 expert in globally, cultural expert in the world. He's the best-selling author of 12 books. His 13th book, which is about to be published live, is called Game On. I'm looking forward to reading this one because it's about reinventing organizational culture through gamification. One unique thing about Arthur, for any of you he lives in a castle in Bali. That's quite unique. Most of our speakers live in Europe or the US and some in India, but he lives in a castle in Bali, and something very unique about him. Without further ado, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Arthur Carmazzi. Over to you, Arthur. Thank you.
Yay! Woo, 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 woo. Okay. Hey, everybody. Great to be here. And today is going to be pretty fun. Okay. So what we get to do is we get to talk about why COVID-19 essentially is like super awesome opportunity for reinventing our own organizational cultures. Okay. So I just to kind of, move forward a little bit about what we're going to be talking about here is how you can use the current state of affairs to really have an impact on your organization, and why now is the best time, and everything else. So anyway, we've prepared some slides, and you want to set the slides up there?
Sure.
Gotham. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Okay, everybody say, aha, there we are. COVID-19, ideal time to improve your organizational culture. Okay, so basically, here's the thing, okay? Right now, okay, I'll just kind of give you a general idea of what's going on with this, all right? This is Gotham. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, and Gotham's awesome. So make sure you follow Gotham on LinkedIn. Just a little bit about me, if you don't know who I am. Gotham kind of, gave you a little bit of an idea anyway. So here's some of the stuff. Here's some of my books. There's a thing of my castle. But you know what's the most important thing about me? Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, so the only thing that matters is that I'm credible. And if you're going to listen to somebody, make sure you just look them up on Google. Because I can stand here and talk about myself, but that isn't necessarily going to serve your time best. So I would recommend simply just kind of checking me out to make sure that I actually am somebody that's worth listening to. All right, so let's kind of go through a little bit of what the state of the workplace and what all that basically means. Okay, so this is the 2017 Gallup poll. Basically, at the end of the day, people are not really engaged in organizations. Now, right now especially, we are in a situation where we have COVID-19, and COVID-19 also, creates some other issues that that are also going to be affecting engagement. Okay, and when we, if we look at some of the studies that we've done, okay, let's just look at the element of culture in general. All right. Yeah, actually, you know what? Let me ask you guys a question. So there's a poll. Okay, let's just do another really quick poll on what do you think? Do you think that engagement is important for organizational culture? Do you think that engagement is important for organizational culture? Okay. How important is employee engagement? So just kind of, is it not important? Is it average important, or is it very important? Just kind of give me your particular ideas on that. Okay. So most people feel either very important or important. Okay, so nobody is really thinking of average importance. And let me, okay, there we go. These are the results. So let's look at what's going on with this. All right, and this is a study we did a little while ago, right, where essentially the average of an organizational culture. Okay, when we took the mean, we basically had 100 people essentially doing the work of 100 people. That makes sense, right? I mean, 100 people, if you hire 100 people, they do the work of 100 people. Well, all right. But it turns out in a poor culture, okay, based on the mean, okay, 100 people did the work of 68 people. All right. Which really kind of sucks. That means you've got 32% less effective than the mean. Okay. But what's the thing? Okay, the biggest thing was that if you had a good culture, those based on the mean, the people that had good cultures, 100 people did the work of 151 people. Now, if you actually just think about this from a ROI perspective, in reality, people are not going beyond their potential. Okay, so what you're looking at here is that the mean is actually less than people's potential already. All right, which means that you have at least an average potential of improving your productivity, your engagement, all of these different things that are going to affect your bottom line by up to 51% if you just improve your organizational culture. All right. And so by having a little bit of an understanding of that, okay, and okay, here we've got what other people say based on the how important employee engagement is. This little part about very important is actually supposed to be not important, the 1.6%. So some people actually did say that, okay? But this is based on a global study, right? So that means that engagement essentially is going to be one of the key factors that is going to determine, well, is going to be determined by organizational culture, okay? Do I have a slide on what elements of culture were measured? Actually, we've got a whole statistic stuff on this, but since we're doing a webinar here, we're just kind of going to go through the basic elements of it was primarily engagement, productivity, and profit. Okay, in general. All right. So the okay. So we're going to so let's just kind of look at what this means. So we're looking at engagement-wise, 82% are not necessarily engaged. Okay, and based on some of the statistics, okay, essentially companies with, okay, and this is not ours, this is global workplace, okay, but 59% lower turnover rate of companies with high engagement and 21% more profitable for companies with higher engagement, okay? And now if we take the current state of affairs, the coronavirus, if we take all of the stuff that we normally have in a regular environment, and now, okay, as you guys have stated earlier, you've got disruption, you've got, you know, basically people are feeling frustrated and unclear about what's going on. Well, do you believe that that is going to add to the, do you think that that's going to add to the potential state of engagement right now when people are often working in lockdown, or at least in a very different way of being than they currently were? So if you think that that's true, go ahead and just type yes into the chat box. If you think that currently the potential for engagement, and with all of the stuff that's going out and you know, freaked out people and all of the previous disengagement, okay, do you think that this is going to have some kind of an effect on your people's current state of engagement? Okay, just type yes or no into the chat, okay, based on what you think. Okay. All right. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. And so basically, here's the thing. Okay. More stress generally means that your immune system goes down. And you'll notice that a lot of people are getting sick. And it's not even the coronavirus. They're just getting sick because of everything that's going on. Okay, which of course lowers productivity even more, and it gets people kind of in a situation where they're, well, basically even more uncertain and potentially more disengaged because, like, you know, they have to deal with their own health out of this, right? Okay, so let's just kind of look at the potential opportunity. Okay, so as an organization right now, okay, most organizations before coronavirus, you wanted to improve your work culture, okay, that, or at least improve your engagement, improve people that are going to be there. So you wanted to, most organizations want to improve that, right? Okay. The thing is that often most organizations, they're very busy. Why? Well, because there's a lot of stuff to do. Right? And then, of course, most people want to have a better working environment, but people are busy doing their jobs and they're focusing on what they're supposed to do instead of on building a bountiful organization. And okay, and if there was a possibility of people literally coming up with this idea of how to create their ideal work culture, do you think that people would actually be excited about it? Okay, so if you think so, type yes. If these statements that I've kind of written down, if you think that they are true, please go ahead and just kind of type something, type yes or no into the chat box. Just let me know what you think if this is true, okay? Do you think that organizations do want to improve their organizational culture? Do you think that people do want to have a better working environment? And do you think that, well, basically, if people were listened to, that they would definitely get excited about it? All right, awesome. Okay, so here's what we got. Okay, this essentially is the opportunity that has happened throughout history. You'll notice that, in different parts of history, crisis has brought people together, but it's only brought people together if they have a common goal. Okay, crisis has brought people together if they have a common goal. All right. Now, for example, I mean, if you know anything about the Roman Empire, so there's this guy Arminius, right? And Arminius, he gets all of their Germanic tribes together because they used to be fighting against each other, and they had a lot of massive power, but because they were always fighting against each other, well, the Romans were able to keep them under control. But Arminius brought all of these different tribes together against the Roman Empire, and well, basically that was essentially the beginning of the fall of the Roman Empire, only because there was one group. They were able to get together, okay, having a common goal against the oppression of the Romans. Okay, so in an organization right now, we have this opportunity. We have a crisis. Okay, and yes, we do have a common goal, which could be, well, what happens after the crisis? I mean, what if we actually could get together and have everybody go ahead and literally create the ideal working environment after this whole thing is over? Do you think that that would be something that people would get into? Okay. All right, so let me just kind of give you another idea of, okay, Shailesh, you say that it's not true. Okay, I'm not quite sure which one we're talking about, but okay, let's see. So let me just kind of look at the ideal working environment. Okay, first of all, do you believe, okay, that people have a similar idea or a different idea of the ideal working environment? Okay, do you think it's similar or different? Okay, the ideal working environment, is it similar or different? Just go ahead and type that into the chat. Different or similar? Okay. All right. Okay, good. So here's the thing. Okay, we have asked this question in 57 different countries. We have asked CEOs to janitors, PhDs to high school dropouts. Okay, we have asked in multiple cultures, religions, and customs, young people, old people, different positions. Okay, it's always very similar. Always very similar. It didn't matter where they came from. It didn't matter how old they were, and it didn't matter what position they had. Okay, most people have very similar ideas of what the ideal working environment. Okay, but I am going to share this with you. Okay, ready? All right. Here's basically what people think. All right. First of all, and you tell me if you guys think if this is okay. All right, if you agree with this. All right. So first of all, number one, people wanted teamwork. Okay. People wanted teamwork, okay? And of course they wanted trust. Now this meant like something where, hey, I have the opportunity to be innovative. I can, do all kinds of things if people would let me, or for that matter, even just being able to trust people to be accountable, okay? People wanted clarity in their ideal working environment, okay? And of course, that meant, okay, it could be transparency. It could mean basically knowing what I needed to do in order to succeed. It could mean structure, but it's some kind of clarity, okay? And they wanted a supportive environment. Now, this is different than teamwork because let's say, for example, if I'm in R&D and I need some problem, I've got some problem with the budget, I could go over to the CFO and I can have a conversation and we could try to solve the problem together. A supportive environment where it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, but you actually can get together with people in the organization to solve problems for the organization rather than just the department you're in. Okay? And of course, the final one was that people essentially wanted to have fun. Okay, so people want to have fun. So these are the 5 basic elements that everybody found more or less was incongruent with for the ideal work environment. Okay, so here's the other thing. Let's look at health. Do you find that can I share the slide? Yes, possibly. We can possibly share the slides. You'll have to connect with me later on by email. I'll send the slides. Okay. So first of all, okay, human beings with purpose are going to be far more able to come up with creative problem solving. They're going to be more productive and they're going to be healthier. Your immune system is directly related to, well, basically how excited you are. So if you're stressed out, you get cortisol and you get all kinds of bad hormones that basically make you, well, get easily sick. But if you're excited, if you have purpose, well, guess what? Okay, that also improves your immune system. It improves your energy. It improves your focus, and it improves your ability to solve problems and be creative. So if we combine all of this stuff with getting people excited, well, is it possible that we could create an opportunity for people to create their own organizational culture and get them excited about creating their organizational culture in their way and creating their ideal working environment? Is it possible that these people would come up with some seriously cool ideas, be very excited, and at the same time really solve some serious problems that the organization basically hasn't had time to solve in the past? And the reason is because now people just have more time. I mean, they have more time, and now you can focus on the business instead of focusing on your job. Okay? And so now what's going to happen is that people are going to be more excited. But here's the thing, okay? You've got to be able to get people together. So you got to have a starting point. So therefore, we have to start with a culture audit. Now, of course, a lot of organizations are like, oh, but culture audits are really expensive. If you go and you type cost of a culture audit in Google, you know, it says like it's $20,000 to $35,000 or even more. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, nobody wants to spend that kind of money. But what if it was free? What if it was free? And this is one of the things that through Gotham and through the elements of of the charity and through right selection, we are actually going to provide, okay, people who apply for this. We're going to provide people with a free culture audit and consultation on literally how you can facilitate your people to create their culture. Now, the best part about it, okay, is that most of the work is actually done by your people. But think about it, okay? Think about it. If you have an opportunity to create the kind of workplace that you want to have, would you actually try? I mean, you know, would it suddenly kind of go, wow, yeah, I definitely. So you type yes if you think that you would be excited about creating the kind of work environment and culture that you wanted to have. Okay, so just type yes if you think that that would make people excited. Okay. So the culture audit, one of the definite things that it's going to start with is basically going to give you an understanding of the organization's health, but it's also going to give you root cause of many of the efficiency issues, okay? And it's going to identify different levels of engagement, okay? So what I'd like to do here, okay, is give you an idea of where we are, okay? So first of all, in order to start, you need to know how evolved your organizational culture is. So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you guys know the level of your organizational culture? Do you know what your organizational culture is right now? So there's a poll here, if you can help me with Gotham. Okay. So there.
I showed the poll.
Oh, you put the poll up already? Ah,
yes.
okay. All right. So Okay, so most people think that, okay, there it's up there. Gosh, you are awesome, Gotham. You just like went up there and started, you know, you're like reading my mind. Awesome. Okay, so we've got a lot of people say yes, yes, yes. A lot of people say, okay, so far we got about 80% yeses, well, 70% yeses, 73, okay, 26.
Great. I think, yeah, 90% of people have participated now. So,
Awesome. Okay. All right. So it's about 71% people know what kind of culture they have, and about 28% do not. Okay. Now, for the 28%, you actually have a really great opportunity. Okay. For the people that already know what culture they have, well, okay, that means you already have an idea of the root causes of a lot of your problems. And now it's just a matter of getting your people to go ahead and focus on how they can solve these root causes. Okay, so let me just kind of go through a little bit of the different levels of organizational culture evolution. All right, okay, so first of all, there's there are 5 different levels of organizational culture evolution. Okay, let's start with the blame culture, right? So fundamentally, the blame culture is the absolute worst organizational culture that any organization can have, okay? And basically what ends up happening is that there's very little trust. People are more or less waiting for people to tell them what to do because they don't want to get blamed. They don't want to have, they don't really are not proactive because what if they do something wrong? So, you know, you basically have an organization that is very inefficient and people are avoiding responsibility on a regular basis and they're constantly avoiding conflict. Okay, so with the blame culture, this is the worst possible organizational culture that any organization can have. All right. Now, the next one is the multi-directional culture. This is basically about silos. Within the organization itself, within the group, within the department itself, okay, yeah, it's okay. People are communicating, people are doing stuff, but outside of that, it's like, look, you know, we're the finance department and you guys are the procurement department, or you're the marketing guys and, you know, you do your thing and we'll do our thing. Okay. And so there is some serious silos and there's gossip and, you know, the loyalty is not to the organization. The loyalty is to the department. Okay. And even within the department, I mean, you know, there's lots of gossip and all kinds of things that are going on with that. Okay. Then there's the live and let live culture. I mean, this is basically complacency, right? Hey, we're making money. Everything's fine. I mean, you know, we're communicating, we're doing stuff. I mean, why do we need to be innovative? Why do we need to be creative? Why do we need to come up with new stuff? Okay, you know, everything's fine. And, well, you know, they basically, it's like, let's maintain the status quo. There is nothing extra. There's no, you know, outstandingness. It just is what it is, right? Okay, making money, we're all good. Come to work, get a paycheck. Okay, do my job. And there it is, done. Okay. Then, of course, there's the brand congruent culture. Now, this one, okay, is at this level of organizational culture, what happens is that you literally, the people within the organizational culture live the brand. I mean, they feel connected to this brand, and the brand itself is like, wow, you know, we're very proud of it. So they have a sense of pride. They get up in the morning and they're proud that they work for the organization because of the brand itself. And, you know, while things may not always be perfect in the organization, they still they have a sense of being an ambassador for the organization itself. And then finally, the ultimate highest level of organizational culture is what we call the leadership enriched culture. So this is where the janitor can come up with this really cool idea, and he's really excited about it, and it makes sense, and he can talk to the CEO directly, and the CEO says, wow, that's a great idea, assuming that it actually is something that is reasonable, and it makes sense, and then the janitor can lead the whole thing, okay, and even can tell the CEO, hey, you know, help me with this, can you help me with that, and things get done based on what is it, based on who's leading it, based on who's excited about it, based on whose project it is, rather than based on any kind of hierarchy. Okay, so yes, live and let live equates to stagnation. That's true. Okay, so anyway, these are the basic 5 levels of organizational culture. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do is essentially benchmark which culture we are going to be at. All right. So which culture we are going to be at is going to be an important part of the organization. So I'd like to ask you a question right now. Okay. I'd like to ask you a poll. All right. Do you feel that the current organizational culture that you have is supporting innovation, problem solving, and ownership? So just go ahead and put that poll out there. Do you feel that the current organizational culture that you guys have is supporting problem solving, ownership, and innovation? Okay. So let's see what you guys think. All right. Your names are not attached to this, so this is all anonymous, so don't worry.
All your answers are anonymous, but feel free to answer with complete transparency. Thank you. So we have about 70% have participated. We'll just wait a few more seconds and then we can publish the poll.
Okay.
So do you feel your current organizational culture is supporting innovation, problem solving, and ownership? All right.
Okay. So this is okay. So based on this, here's the thing. All right. It would be super cool if I was an employee and I had the opportunity to basically fix this problem. Okay. What do you guys think? Okay. If you're an employee and I have the opportunity to essentially come up with solving this problem, because as an employee, let me ask you a question. Do you think that you would want to be innovative? Do you think that you would want to be able to solve problems? Okay. What happens is that most of the time, most people, they want to solve problems. They want to be proactive, but you know what? Nobody listens to them. Okay. And there's like, oh, well, that's, and of course, during the normal time, everybody's too busy. Okay. So nobody even thinks about it. So here, again, with this opportunity, okay, and employees are starting to go ahead and come up with this idea of, oh, wow, okay, look, of what we can do to come up with new ideas to solve old problems, to have our lives as employees be better after this whole COVID-19 thing is over. Okay, and that, yes, okay, okay, we generally want to be proactive. The only thing is the culture supporting us being proactive? Really, that's the key. Okay. And now, so what I'd like to do here is I'm going to just kind of share with you this particular tool. And this is one of the tools that we're going to use to basically give you a free organizational culture audit. It's the OCEAN tool, Organizational Culture Evolution Assessment Navigator. And the reason is it's called a navigator is because it starts with a benchmark, but then it helps you to navigate to evolve your organizational culture to the next level. Okay, so let's just kind of give you a little bit of an idea of how this is all going to help. All right, and remember that this is something that you, as somebody in your organization, will be able to facilitate. Okay, and the people do most of the work. So this does not require, massive amounts of work and everything else, because people, when they're excited to fix something that is going to affect their lives, will do it. Okay, so first of all, number one, when you have, once you understand where you are, okay, people have an understanding of where they are. Now, we just did this poll, all right, and in this poll, we have a lot of people that say, yes, the organization is really great, and we've got this, and our culture is awesome. And what we find in this, because it's separated into 3 different levels. It's separated into senior management, middle management, and below middle management. We find that senior management, everything is always awesome. I mean, it's like, wow, my company is so awesome. Okay. And then we find out that middle management thinks that it's less awesome. Okay. And then we find out that people at the lower levels are also going to think that it's a little bit, actually very similar in many cases to the middle management, but often the worst perspective of the organizational culture comes from middle management, not from senior. Senior is the best. And then kind of lower or under middle management, those people are like kind of in the middle somewhere. Okay. So this is what we find when we do these. Now, okay, the other thing, of course, is that, okay, management is going to provide a platform and the guidelines, and for that matter, the permission for the people to create the culture they want. Why would management do that? Okay, now think about this. Okay, at the end of the day, the purpose of this is to essentially solve problems and create an ideal working environment. Okay, if you gave your people an opportunity to come up with, let's say, 3 major factors that they wanted to fix in the organization, that does not count increasing salaries, okay, do you believe that they would come up with things that senior management probably has thought of, but just never really dealt with because it was too much of a hassle? Okay, so just write yes or no if you believe that to be a true statement. Okay, that, let me repeat that, okay, that if you allowed the people of the organization to solve 3 problems for the organization that were not salary related, that they would probably connect with something that senior management is going to benefit from or has already thought of and just didn't really deal with it. Okay, so in most cases, we find this to be true. Actually, in all cases, we find this to be true. Okay, so we've done organizational culture initiatives around the world, and it's pretty much always the same stuff. Okay, now each organization will have different root causes, but at the end of the day, the people really understand the problems. And they understand the problems in some cases even better than senior management. So when senior management gives them permission to come up with a culture and the ideal working environment, which is already kind of predictable, okay, there is very little risk on the side of senior management of the people coming up with something that's not going to be supporting the benefit of the organization. Okay. Sampa, you're asking the 5 types of the of culture. This is called the culture evolution model. Culture evolution model. Okay. So anyway, with these 3 issues, okay, plus the ideal working environment, and and getting the people to essentially see. Here's the thing. There are people within the organization that right now we would consider key influencers, right? I mean, there are people who essentially have influence, okay? They're informal leaders. And if you get these people together to kind of get together on Skype or Zoom or something, okay, and connect with their group of people that they know and who understand them, and come and let them brainstorm and come up with how they're going to solve these problems and everything else, well, you're going to come up with some seriously awesome solutions, plus come up with different ways to set up the ideal working environment. Okay, so this here is just a little mini infographic. One of the other reasons of why this culture audit is going to help you basically improve communication efficiency, align people with common vision and values, and of course, get people to be more innovative. Now, okay, I've got these infographics. They are available. Actually, Gotham, if you can go ahead and just make them available for download. I'm not going to go through this because I don't want to, spend too much time on it. But all of this stuff and the explanation for this, okay, is going to be. I'm going to share a link with you in a minute. Okay. But right now, okay, let me share a little bit about this, okay? So there's the different 5 levels of the organizational culture, but there's 5 parts to creating this organizational culture. The first one, for you to get your people excited, is going to be about creating a greater purpose, okay? What's the greater purpose? What's that one thing that everybody can connect to? Which is, in our case, we found getting people to excited and ready to build their ideal working environment. And because it's predictable, okay, it's easy to get involved with. Second is connecting, of course, with that greater purpose, connecting that to solving some of the problems that has been bugging these people and affecting their organization and their own productivity and life at work, okay? The second is a methodology for change. Now, one of the things that we find that is, I mean, there's tons of methodologies out there. Of course, you know, we use directive communication psychology, but the thing is that there is just the idea of getting people together, okay, and deciding what behaviors they want to have and want to hold each other accountable for. Okay, that in itself we call guiding principles, just creating some guiding principles where people are holding each other accountable for behaviors that they decided. And that means including senior management, this, you know, as well as each other. Okay, it's very different if senior management says, okay, these are your values and you decide what you're going to do. Okay, but if the people come up with, these are how we want to hold each other accountable, this is how we want to behave and be treated. Okay, so having that and then having a common language to go with that is going to have a huge impact. But here's the important thing. You have to have a unified identity, and this is important. Okay, remember, this is it, and this is a very important statement. So write this down, okay? The people need to own the culture, not the organization. The people need to own the culture, not the organization. Now, when we do these culture change programs, the people come up with names for their culture or for the people who are in the club of building this culture. So they call themselves like the Revolutionary Patriots or the Knights of Transformation or the Rainbow Pioneers of Success, or they come up with all sorts of really cool names, okay? But they name it, and just the idea of that name and then creating logos and little taglines of what it all means, it puts people into a club that, hey, look, this is who we are. We are part of this movement to make our organization better. And again, that reinforces the purpose. It reinforces everything. Okay. And so I just wanted to just kind of share that with you. And the supportive environment in this case means that, let's say, for example, I want to stop smoking. Okay. It has nothing to do with my job, but you know what? I want to stop smoking. So, I tell people that I'm working with, hey, I want to start smoking. And because we're part of this supportive environment, the people will help me to do that, because that environment is supposed to help me to succeed personally through the organization. And if I am succeeding personally through the organization succeeds as well. Okay, so all of the stuff, the full process and everything else, you can find it at culturechange.academy, culturechange.academy. Like the armed forces have names. Yes, exactly. The armed forces have names for that too. So this is a document that basically goes into very extensive detail of the stuff that I'm talking about. Okay, it's got a full every little detail of how to do this right there, and about the key influencers and everything. Okay, so take a screenshot or write it down or something, or maybe Gotham, you can type it in. Okay, so it's culturechange.academy. Okay, so and again, this is the element of ownership. People with that unified identity, people own it. Okay. Now I just want to kind of go through this. Okay. And maybe not so much, but I mean, the idea here is that once you have a fundamental culture audit, okay, getting the communication elements of how you're going to communicate all this stuff, getting the people together, putting them with the 5 pillars, okay, you've got to have people that are in charge of actually implementing everything that people come up with and documenting it and communicating it to everybody. So it's not just like just letting it go. So you've got to, so when you're supporting this organization, when you're supporting this culture development within your people, you get a couple of people to say, to basically document everything. You get a couple of people to communicate it. Hey, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. This is how we're putting it together. And then this way, everybody is kind of seeing the progress. Measurement supports excitement because you get to see progress. And this is, again, why then you do the culture audit again, okay? And you can see the progress that you're making. So after 1 month of doing this, and you can literally see some visible results, okay? And so right now, I kind of like to stop here and basically just take some questions, okay? And then later I'll share with you some of the results that we got and how this works, okay? So let me just answer some questions meanwhile.
Arthur, perhaps I could read them out, and you want to?
Sure, read them out.
There's how about the next steps if we're halfway through our journey of higher purpose, vision, and values? We're halfway. What would be the next steps?
Okay, well, first of all, the question is who came up with the vision and values? Did senior management come up with it, or did the people come up with it? That's really the question. Remember, if I mean, I don't know how many of you have kids, okay? If I will tell my kids to do this, of course, okay, they're going to, basically mind you, right? Okay, but you know what? Behind the scenes, they're going to sneak. And they're going to try to get away with stuff, okay? But here's the thing. So we are just larger children, okay? So what if the senior management is telling you this is what you should believe, it is not the same as, even if you come up with the same ideas yourself, it's just not the same. If they tell you compared to you come up with it. So that's an important element. Did they clarify that?
Yeah, I think it's fine. The next one is, how about next steps? One good. Do you also help in pre and post audit communication to employees?
Yeah, I mean, we actually do the entire implementation. But again, even if we don't do the implementation, you can see the entire process of how you can do it yourself, on that link I gave you. Okay, but yes, we do entire implementations. I mean, we've done. I'll share with you some of the results we got in a little bit.
Can this audit happen when employees are working from home, like we're currently going through?
Well, exactly. That's kind of the point, right? That's the point is that right now people are working from home. All of this can be done online. All of it can be done online. The facilitation of your people to come up and solve problems can be done online. The facilitation of getting them to come up with the processes that are going to solve your problems can be done online. The audit itself can be done online, and everything. I mean, everything right now can be done virtually, okay? And it can be done even more easily because people are not as busy.
Fair enough, that's great. How do we balance between improving the culture versus survival challenges for some organizations, especially small enterprises?
Okay, that in itself, it kind of indicates that the culture itself has become secondary to basically sales. If I understand that correctly, I completely understand where you've got to have the marketing, you've got to have the sales and everything else. But here's the thing: if you create a culture of sales and marketing, a culture where everybody is the salesperson, everybody's the marketer, everybody is the ambassador of the brand, okay? it's going to help you to survive more effectively, and people are going to be much more excited. I mean, just to give you an idea, I mean, we worked with it's a small company. Well, okay, small by standards. Of the normal companies we work with, but basically it was an online. They sold hijab and what is it? High fashion Shira compliant fashion, something like that. Anyway, clothing, fashion clothing for the Muslim community. Okay, and it was all online, and of course they had their own staff and everything else, but these, just by taking care of the culture, they ended up increasing their sales by like 214%.
Great, thank you, Arthur. The other question that we would like to ask is, what motivates you to help us do the audit? Oh, that's a bit. So, how do you create purpose with possibility?
How do I create purpose? Well, purpose with possibility. Sorry? Purpose with possibility.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, okay, remember that we want to fix our problems. As human beings, we want to fix our problems. Okay. Right now, we have the opportunity to kind of get into a space where we can be listened to as employees. All right. And as an employee, if people listen to us, well, now that means that we feel like we have a greater purpose. And if we are together with another group of employees coming together to solve the same problem, well, now you've got the possibility of really creating something because you're not alone. And that element of purpose is shared with everyone else. And just another, before you ask me, what do I get out of giving you the free audits? Okay. Right now, okay, the audits, right, we have over 50 new certified organizational culture consultants who have gone through our online program and have gotten certified. Okay. So these people are literally going to be carrying out most of these audits for the organizations that we're giving these away for. So number one, it gives them an opportunity to basically practice, okay, and all under our supervision. It's under our flagship, okay. But more importantly, I mean, there's the business element, okay. We're going to help you, okay. You're excited about the results of what happens. We're going to show you what you can do and what your root causes are, and you're going to be excited about that. And then later on, when things are better, you're going to think of us if you need to have culture intervention or culture development.
Great. No, thank you. I think that was a valid point that people would want clarity on. How do you embed humor in organizations these days? That's something different.
Oh, how do you embed humor?
Humor, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, just don't take shit seriously. I mean, you know, the thing is that, you know, you've got all of this potential to just, you know, just have some fun. I mean, you know, there's the okay. I mean, here, for example, we have another app. All right, and this app was designed specifically for implementing behavior change. So let's say, for example, people come up with their guiding principles. We want to treat each other like this. Okay. So one of the things that you can incorporate that into it is like, okay, we want to have some more fun. Okay, whether it's humor or not, I mean, at least just have some fun. So you can literally gamify having fun, and you can also gamify serious stuff and make it fun. I mean, that's kind of the whole point. So this app is called Squadly with an I, L-I, and it's one of the things that we use for literally performance measurement. Okay, here, let me just explain, all right? One of the biggest problems that organizations have is they're measuring people in the wrong way according to the current time, okay? People are not patient enough to wait 3 months or 6 months for an annual review and find out their KPIs, okay? one of the key things is that if you have a KPI or you have a specific type of objective, okay, it is easy enough to reverse engineer what the behaviors are in order to achieve that objective. Does that make sense? Okay. So if you're able to reverse engineer into the behaviors, well, that means that you could essentially have those behaviors as part of a gamified process where people can get points for catching those behaviors, and then go on different lists for different types of behaviors. And you can literally have some fun with it, create leaderboards and, create different kinds of prizes, is like, and be silly. So, okay, so you get to, so you get to have a virtual meal with everybody. And so everybody gets on Zoom and they eat. Just be a little bit crazy, be a little bit creative.
Great, thank you, Arthur. Other one question: the difference between organizational development versus organizational culture.
Wow. Okay. See, organizational culture is one element of organizational development. Organizational development is a myriad of different things, including, different supply chains and how, with different parts of the organization. So, as well as sales and marketing. So organizational culture is only one element, okay, which is essentially, but here's the thing: if you solve the culture problem, you're going to end up solving about 50 to 60% of all those little annoying things that keep happening over and over and over and over again. I mean, here's the thing: a lot of organizations, they spend a lot of money on training, but the training is quick fix. They're not going to the root cause. The root cause is literally the culture itself.
Great. We'll take a couple more and then we'll wrap up, Arthur. How can one make this a career as a member of the audit team? I believe you shared that's a possibility.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Let's see. I should have that.
Otherwise, you can share it by email tomorrow, or Pratap, you could reach out to us by email and we'll share that with you from our team. That's absolutely possible. How much time does exercise take to the cultural audit? Right, Pratap has asked this question. How long will that take?
The culture audit. The culture audit. The first part of the culture audit, essentially, using the Ocean tool, takes roughly about 3 days. Of course, it depends on how easily it is to communicate with your HR and get things disseminated out to your people.
Great. Arthur, it's been an absolute pleasure. I just want to make sure everyone's got the links. Rinkesh has shared the relevant links on the chat.
Okay, well, let me just quickly go through. Because I said, after this, I would just kind of, share some of the stuff. I mean, let me just share with you what some of the things that are possible highlights. Okay. These are some of the results we got with some of the organizations. Okay. So for example, in this particular case, there was a 62% productivity increase in the housekeeping of Emirates hotels. And the reason was, essentially these people at the beginning of this program were in like, oh my gosh, people don't know how difficult it is for us to do 8 rooms and everything else. And by the end of this program, they're going, hey man, we did 11 rooms. Okay, bet you can't beat that. It's like, no way, really 11? Oh, just watch next week. Tomorrow we're gonna do 12. They were having fun with it. Again, the whole attitude, everything changes depending on what you're doing. Okay, Resorts World. Absenteeism reduction of 63%. Goody, which is a Saudi Arabian company, these guys were really good to begin with, but they were able to improve their retail brand ambassador sales by 32% because people started to take their own initiative to do it. Technique, which is they make offshore oil rigs, and this one was a joint venture in Malaysia. These guys went from the absolute worst type of culture to to a rather leadership-enriched culture and increased their engineering productivity by 37%. And that was only because one idea from the people that was implemented. Okay, and this one, Denza, it's an electric car company. So it's a common or a joint venture between Mercedes and BYD, which is Chinese. So you can imagine getting the Germans and the Chinese together. They had an overall productivity increase of 31%. Okay, based on just being able to communicate better and understand each other better. Okay. And, the whole thing, again, starts with organizational culture. So this is the link where you can apply. There's a little video that explains why we're doing it and all of this stuff on there. It's free. There is not going to be any charges. The culture audit is free. It is for you guys. Okay. So that's what I got.
Thank you so much, Arthur. It's been an absolute pleasure. Please take a screenshot of this so you're able to download this and receive that knowledge that Arthur has kindly shared. Rinkesh had also shared the 2 links. We'll share an email with you by tomorrow of today's presentation and remind you of the links. Before we wrap up, I just want to, if I may, move to just sharing once again. Obviously, I've shared with you, this is my LinkedIn. Do feel free to take a picture of this. Connect with me on LinkedIn. It'd be an absolute pleasure to connect with professionals like yourselves, like-minded, like-hearted, who appreciate learning. So please do connect with me. And last but not least, I shared with you, our webinars are complimentary, our way of serving the community in this time of need. But there are people in deep need of your help and our help. So with your support together, we'd like to support Building Blocks. And, for a token on the link, there's a link in the box. If you click on the link, it's simply 500 rupees to help feed a child for a month, 2,000 rupees to feed a family. The entire contribution goes straight to feeding the children. Your support in giving back and making a difference in the lives of these children would be highly appreciated. On behalf of Right Selection, Arthur and myself, it's been an absolute pleasure. We look forward to seeing you at our upcoming webinars. Any closing comments, Arthur, before we call it a day?
No, just, again, thank you for listening, and thank you very much for all of the comments, and also helping us to get more intelligence with the little polls, because that's also useful for us. And again, for those of you that want to join the consultant team, go ahead and send an email to Gotham, and he's got the link for that.
Absolutely. Have a great evening. God bless, and thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.